So yes, so the Copernicus Climate Change Service is another one of the 6 Copernicus services as part of this Earth observation program, and this is also run by ECMWF. So just a few numbers. There are a huge number of users also of C3S, and similar to CAMS, there are direct users, but then there's a whole kind of ecosystem of, of other users. So here we put, external users, several millions, because there are many users of C3S products through the kind of downstream service providers. So there's this, multiplication effect. And the top 5 data, okay, you can see also in Africa there are some users. And the top 5 dataset groups are, well, ERA 5 is the ECMWF reanalysis, and there's also ERA 5 land, slightly higher resolution over land, but also the seasonal forecast data is quite popular, and the regional climate projections, CORDEX, and also the regional reanalysis, so CARA and SERA for the Arctic and for Europe. And also the ocean reanalysis and the ECV, so the observation data sets. So these are all quite popular data sets, and I'll introduce them in the next few slides. So C3S provides information about the past, present, and future climate, and of course the future depends on our choices. So there are different possible scenarios. And yeah, C3S provides data over this whole spectrum. So if we start with the observations, there are many different essential climate variables, and these are produced operationally by C3S. So these include essential climate, these are essential climate variables that characterize the climate. Some of these are derived from satellites, some of them from reanalysis. Some of them are just planned, some are not actually available yet. But those that are available, C3S is providing these operationally, responding also to the Global Climate Observing System and UNFCCC implementation needs. So also in situ observations are key, and you can, in this video, you can see the evolution of the data that has been used in our reanalysis products. So this goes from, let me just see if I can, yeah, it goes from from 1940, where only in situ data is available. Oh, sorry, this is observations in general. So it goes from 1940, when in situ data was only available, and then to more recently, when satellite data is also available to be assimilated. Yeah, and this example here, so in addition to the satellite data and the in situ data, there's also this data deposition service. So going back even as far as the kind of 1750s, taking measurements that can be then integrated into the observational record. And it's actually an invitation to anyone to actually submit these this information, these data records that can then be used to enhance the overall suite. So this is we call rescue observations, such as observations that are only existing on paper that then become digitized. So this is also a fundamental component. So if we go to the reanalysis data, so the global and regional reanalysis, so this table shows a list of the various different reanalysis products. So ERA 5 is probably the flagship product of C3S. So this is a global reanalysis for atmosphere, land, and ocean waves from 1940 onwards. And this is provided hourly with a 30-kilometer spatial resolution, and also many different levels of the atmosphere. There's also the ERA 5 land, which is higher spatial resolution, so 9 kilometers, but it's only over the land. But then we also have the regional reanalysis, so SERA, so this is for Europe, and also CARA for the Arctic, and this is even higher resolution. but over a shorter time period. And this is, again, this is, similar to what I was saying before. This is a kind of, these provide maps without gaps, providing a consistent time series for the past decades that can really be used to understand how the climate has evolved. In addition to these products, we also have some kind of, let's say, more specialized reanalysis products. So here we have the agricultural Era 5 data set. So this is more relevant for agricultural applications, including variables that are of interest to the agriculture sector. So temperature, precipitation, and precipitation type, but also daily average vapor pressure and wind speed, and relative humidity at specific times of the day. So this is also quite high resolution, so 10 kilometers, and available globally. And this is provided not just through C3S, but also through various different portals, such as the FAO portal, but also OpenEO Hub and World Serial. So, and this is just an example of some analysis that has been done with the reanalysis data. So this is a paper published showing the solar photovoltaic and wind over different sites in Africa. And here you have on one side the diurnal profiles, and on the other side the seasonal profiles, where you can really see, over different sites, the changes in the capacity factor. So in addition to the data, there's also a climate intelligence service, and the climate intelligence provides some analysis of the data and provides some insights into the state of the climate. So the next slide is actually a video, and this is a video of an application, so a web application that has been developed to help to facilitate making use of the data, interpretation of the data. So here, instead of taking the raw data and turning it into plots, the plots are already there and they're interactive. So you can look at a time series, you can look at a map of the world, you can zoom into it, you can spin it around. It's interactive, so you can click on different points. And here, for example, you can see all the different the climatology and the average for every year, and you can really see that in recent years it's it's much more marked with hotter temperatures than in previous years. And it's also mobile friendly. You can download the data in the app itself. So you can download the graphs in PNG format. But of course, the data itself is available through the Climate Data Store, and that's also freely available. But if you don't want to actually process the data, then you can just use one of these you can use this application. We have also other applications that help you make sense of the data. In terms of predictions and projections, so this is going into the future. So we have seasonal forecasts and also climate projections. So the seasonal forecast products, so they're part of a kind of multi-model service, and the data is available. Well, you have the data available in grid format, but also that you have graphical products available on the website. So these are maps showing the different probabilities of higher than average or lower than average of a certain variable over the following season. And you also have this information presented graphically in the form of time series, and for the whole ensemble. And then there's also verification products, so comparing the model output with observations for hindcasts, and this is also available on the website. And also for this, we have Jupyter notebooks, also showing workflows to derive the seasonal forecast anomalies and how to do the seasonal forecast verification. Also for El Nino indices, we've got specialized products. So this is an example showing basically the climatology for El Nino years and La Nina years, and to use that to investigate ENSO teleconnections. So you can see, for example, predominant or average, let's say, trends for El Nino years, and in this case, for January, El Nino years and La Nina years for precipitation and temperature. In terms of climate projections, through C3S, you can access various different CMIP5 and CMIP6 data sets, which are also available through ESGF, but you can access through C3S. There's a kind of standard format to access this data. You have a web form where you can put in your data request and you can access the data in a kind of standardized way. There's also quality control information and also data tutorials to show how to visualize and interpret this data. And this is not just for CMIP6, it's also we have the climate projection data, the regional climate projection data from Cordex as well for different Cordex domains. That's also freely available through the climate data store. And in addition to the data itself, we also have an application. This is the Copernicus Interactive Climate Atlas. And this is to facilitate interpretation of this data. It's similar to Climate Pulse in the sense that it's a web application that's interactive, and you can, you can select certain areas. You can zoom in, you can make certain calculations without having to, do the processing yourself. So this is quite a good tool for, for the kind of policy user, the decision maker who maybe doesn't want to do the data processing. Okay, so in addition to the data and applications and tools to facilitate use of this data, C3S is also an operational service, and user engagement and training and national uptake actions are also quite important. So also also for C3S, we do a lot of training activities and provide a lot of training materials in the form of Jupyter notebooks. So these are more technical tutorials if you want to if you want to understand how to work with this data. But we also have training materials in the form of e-learning modules. So these are more theoretical. They're not so much about using the data, well, not so much handling the data in Python. It's more on what the different climate data types provide, how they can be used across different sectors. And this, these resources are being developed further. So we will have more of these. We're also going to have a number of mini MOOCs. So these are massive open online courses that will be run in the near future. And these are open to everyone. So yeah, just to, yes, okay. There's also another element of C3S, which is it's still a kind of prototype element, is the attribution and a kind of attribution service. But in this case, it's more in the context of trying to understand long-term observed changes and extremes in their attribution, and provide tools for extreme event analysis. So, for example, for the insurance sector, operational windstorms, how this data can be used in the insurance sector, but also in other sectors. So this is also something worth mentioning. And yeah, so that's basically a quick overview of the Copernicus Climate Change Service. Here you have various contact information and social media handles, and URLs for the website, so where you can get more information. And please let us know if you have any questions, and yeah, if you have any questions now, then yeah, I'm happy to
thank you very much, Chris. I think it's you're on time. Actually, we are now getting back to the time that at the beginning we lose, so you are 4 minutes ahead. So then it's great. So let's go. There were some questions on chat. I have seen, but of course, please, you can ask your questions. Just raise your hand, so I can, because we have time. for question. So Albano Santos, please.
Okay, now I was saying thank you very much for the presentation, Stuart. Very good presentation. And I just want to ask regarding your presentation. There were slides where I could see it's evident that Africa has a notable low rate of data utilization. So, despite we are experiencing severe climate impacts compared to other regions. Any users impact that you have to understand why Africa isn't leveraging the freely available climate data from Copernicus, or what could be the barriers for us?
This was the same question also, Britain. I just combined two questions. I think this is the similar question that Britain Guamagobe was asking, why climate data users are relatively low while climate impacts and need for data are so critical. Maybe you can combine these two.
Yeah, exactly. So I think the slide in the beginning of my presentation shows the number of users distributed across the world. So the Copernicus Climate Change Service, I mean, Copernicus is a European Union Earth observation program. So the core users are mainly European, and also many of the data sets are European regional data sets. But the data is, we also provide global data, and this data is accessible to everyone worldwide. So I think it's just relative to other users. Maybe there are a few users in Africa. Of course, there are many more users in Europe, but we still have many users in Africa. But nonetheless, of course, there are still barriers, and the barriers could be, lack of awareness, or also maybe, internet access, and just the ability to download and process very large amounts of data. But we are addressing that with capacity building actions, so and training, and trying to increase the uptake of the data that we provide. So yeah. I mean, we're trying to increase the uptake in Africa as well.
Thank you. Albano, yeah, okay. Albano said this. Okay, good. Any more questions to Chris? Of course, you can always ask and contact and further questions to us or to Chris's the ECMWF directly. Later on also, or during this webinar that we will have still two more presentation. But yeah, there was one comment or question that is for this month is, do you think that this could that be a skills issue?
To some extent, yes, but I mean, there are some centers in Africa like ECPAC, and we saw the presentation already, where there's already a huge amount of skill, existing. So that the competence in Africa does exist. There are regional centers like ECPAC and ACMAD that do have the skills, but of course there are many other entities across different sectors and across different countries that maybe don't have the capacity. So, but I think whatever we do in terms of capacity building, we try to do it through regional centers and through existing competence centers in Africa, because that helps, as an interface to the users.
Okay, so thank you. Last question: is there any future trainings on this one, like maybe face-to-face training?
So we're trying to have a training in the context of the CLIMSA program, and we're still discussing that, and also in the context of other initiatives. But all of our training resources are actually freely available, and they can be accessed. You can go onto the website and you can access from wherever you are. You can access them. So and the learning resources are pretty kind of they can be used standalone. They don't need to be in a particular training event. So yeah, we do have training events, but also the training materials can be used. And also the MOOCs that I was referring to, the massive open online courses. So these are going to be run in the next, let's say, within about a year, probably earlier. We'll start a series of massive open online courses, and these can be used by, and these are open, massive and open and online. So the whole world, we're hoping to have a very large impact with these courses. So please stay tuned for them. If you go on the website, you'll see news about that. But these will be, in particular for users in Africa and worldwide.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. It's a very interesting talk and continuation, but I think I need to cut it here. I would like to thank Chris for your very good presentations and information to us.